We all know that games like Apex Legends and Titanfall take place in the same world, but what about the ones that link up in a more discreet way? From wanted posters to surprising family histories, games have found all sorts of ways to nod towards each other. Here are a few of Xbox's greatest stories that you might not have known were in the same universe. Of course, sometimes the developers don't just come right out and tell you that their games are connected. Sometimes you have to work a little bit harder. For example, did you know that Bioshock and Gone Home seem to take place in the same universe? Okay, so bear with me here. In the Minerva's Den DLC for Bioshock 2, you play as a guy named Charles Milton Porter, who eventually founded his own video game company called CMP Interactive and created a game called Super Spitfire, a copy of which you can totally find lying about Sam's room in the Greenbrier family house while playing Gone Home. If the game exists, then logically so must Mr. Porter, Rapture, and all the rest. So on top of their intolerant parents and fraught family history, the Greenbrier girls might also have had to deal with dudes with giant drill arms. And you can actually tie another game into this wicked web of references as well. While you're wandering the woods in 2018's Firewatch, which is available now via Xbox Game Pass, you'll sometimes find supply caches containing all sorts of interesting items. Crack open Cache 307 and you'll find a copy of The Accidental Savior, a book written by none other than Terence L. Greenbrier from Gone Home. Since Bethesda are now part of the Xbox Game Studios clan, you'll find a whole mess of Wolfenstein and Doom games on Xbox Game Pass. Perfect if you want to spend some time tracing the Blazkowicz family tree. So, we all know that the original Wolfenstein games starred an all-action soldier named B.J. Blazkowicz. But only those who played Wolfenstein RPG will know that the adventure ended with an epic battle against a horrifying creature known as the Harbinger of Doom. Fortunately, old BJ was able to dismember the demon before it could do any more harm, leaving it to crawl away swearing vengeance against the whole Blazkowicz family. And it turns out, that wasn't an empty threat. The same creature returns with a shiny new set of robotic limbs in Doom, now known as the Cyber Demon, which would also seem to imply that our Doom guy is actually a descendant of Blazkowicz as well.
Here's a connection that spans 50 years and around 230 million kilometers: Saints Row and Red Faction. On the face of it, you'd have a hard time working out what a game about the rise and fall of a cartoonish street gang has to do with the story of a proletariat revolution on Mars, but it's actually heavily implied that Red Faction is actually the grim and dusty future that the Saints have to look forward to. The all-powerful institution which is responsible for the brutal regime on Mars is called the Alter Corporation, and this same group of no-gooders also pop up throughout the Saints Row universe. They're the bad guys trying to take over the city in Saints Row 2 before the recently remastered Saints Row III actually sees your gang merging with them to create an organization so powerful that, well, I guess so powerful that it eventually colonizes Mars. Who'd have thought it? Now then, will this continue into the new, rebooted Saints Row? We'll have to find out when it comes to Xbox One, Series X and S in August of this year.
Battlefield Bad Company and Mirror's Edge both take place in a near-future setting. Bad Company has you blasting your way through Caucasia as part of a Russo-American war, while Mirror's Edge has you scampering up skyscrapers in a totalitarian city known as Glass. And while these places might be many miles away from each other, it definitely seems like both games take place in the same universe. You can check out this connection for yourself on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass respectively, but here's a summary for you. During one of the rare Mirror's Edge moments where you have to take an elevator rather than somersaulting your way up a building, a news ticker providing an update on the ongoing conflict between the fictional nations of Surdaristan and Tajikistan, a conflict which Bad Company players will be all too familiar with. This connection was then underlined even further in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, the reimagined version of the hit-free running game, where you can find an Intel recording called Omnistat Gold No. 1, which actually features the guys from Bad Company engaging in their usual brand of extremely professional banter. On the flip side, the Battlefield games are littered with Mirror's Edge Easter eggs too. You can find Faith's signature yellow bag and red runner shoes in Battlefield 3, as well as an entire avenue named after the game's protagonist. Better yet, Battlefield 4 even seems to imply that a whole Broadway musical has been created in her honor. For a lady who mostly just runs around on top of stuff, she's left quite a legacy behind.
Given how spooky the Alan Wake games are, it's not exactly surprising to find the spectre of them haunting other titles as well. In fact, it turns out that the news of a crime writer battling the forces of darkness has made it all the way to the offices of the Federal Bureau of Control. Not only can you find some footage of the man himself lurking in a hidden area, but there are also documents confirming that the events which took place in Bright Falls have officially been classified as an altered world experience, just like the one which gave Control's protagonist her powers. However, other documents confirm that while they investigated the events, Alan Wake was nowhere to be found. But that's not all. Boot up Game Pass and open Quantum Break to find several callbacks to Mr. Wake's paranormal adventures, including a chalkboard dedicated to him and what appears to be yet more footage of the man himself. Honestly, with the amount of time he spends on camera, it's kind of surprising that Control weren't able to track him down. Bad job, guys. Bad job.
While lots of major corporations do terrible things, Assassin's Creed Abstergo Industries is the only one that routinely kidnaps random bartenders, cracks open their genetic memory, and uses it to send them into a simulated version of the past where people try to kill them with swords. At least, I assume they are. And with Assassin's Creed Origin coming to Game Pass very soon indeed, you can see where it all began real soon if you're a subscriber. Either way, Assassin's Creed fans can enjoy this sweet taste of revenge against Abstergo by hopping over to Ubisoft's other open world extravaganza, Watch Dogs. While they're scouring the game's teched up versions of modern Chicago, they'll come across a mission called Requiescat in Pace that tasks them with assassinating a certain Olivier Garneau, your employer from Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Way to resign with extreme prejudice.
Finally, we've got one of the wildest connections in the big wide world of gaming, Mass Effect and Dragon Age. They might both be beloved BioWare action RPGs, but these two games really do seem light years apart. After all, one is a spacefaring sci-fi epic, while the other takes place in a fantastical realm full of sorcery and dragons. And yet, there are little nods to one another hidden throughout the two series, like the Krogan heads you'll find decorating the Palace of Aulus in Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, or the ogre statue you'll find tucked away inside a vault in Mass Effect 2's DLC expansion, Kasumi Stolen Memory. In fact, eagle-eyed fans have even suggested that the Dragon Age games actually take place on one of Clendegon's moons, a place called Presrop. The Mass Effect games describe this place as a once civilized land left barren by a mysterious calamity. And given that pretty much every Dragon Age game sees the whole world almost obliterated, that would kind of check out, wouldn't it? You can experience both of these genre-defining dynasties in their near entirety on Xbox Game Pass, so what are you waiting for?
No matter what you're playing, it almost always turns out that the world is wider and weirder than you could possibly have imagined. Just like in real life then. Hit the comments to tell us about your favorite crossovers and connections, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for Xbox secrets, mysteries, and miscellanea. Bye!